To the Healthy Hustling Podcast. I am your host. I'm Dr. Eric Broadworth, and today I've got Dylan Hamming with me. Dylan is a 2024 CrossFit Games athlete with Team 8 Day, and in 2022 he was an individual athlete at the Granite Games.
Got it.
You have made it quite a long way when it comes to the sport of CrossFit, and he is also a trainer and a coach at 8th Day Gym in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So thanks so much for coming on, Dylan.
Oh, my pleasure.
Awesome.
Happy to finally do this.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a couple of reschedules, so I'm
Yeah.
glad finally. Right now it is snowing, miserable outside, but able to make this work. So let's get into a little bit of your background. When did you get into CrossFit? What was your
So when
path?
I was, I think I was 18 when I first got introduced to CrossFit, the sport. My dad had come to 8th Day. He was actually at the Cascade location back before it was here in Grand Rapids. I went there once, but then we came here. I actually watched 8th Day get created. Like I saw the bare bones of the building before there was any flooring down or anything else. Then I did CrossFit for 6-ish months, and then I left Michigan and went out to Oregon, ran track out there for a couple of years. And during that time, I wasn't allowed to do CrossFit. You had to stay with their program. Mm-hmm. So had a couple of years off of no CrossFit, just track training, lifting and stuff. 2015, I moved to Chicago with an old girlfriend. I just did powerlifting for a year there, which was really helpful to just increase all my raw strength numbers.
Yeah.
And then after that, moved back to Michigan, started training at 8th Day full time. And then, so it's been about a decade of training.
So when did you decide that you wanted to, make a go at being really a professional CrossFit athlete and making it to the games? When did that kind of come on your radar?
It's hard to say. So I think it was always in my back of my mind. Even once I started CrossFit, I was like, all right, so the goal is going to be try to get good enough to get to the games. Obviously, when you start, you're way out of that realm. So it was just slowly increasing all the things I needed to get good enough. And then you watch the season. CrossFit's cool because most of the time you can do the workouts that the elites are doing, especially at the games. So I would kind of hit some workouts that they were doing and see how close I was to being able to compete against them. And then finally I'm like, okay, this is going to happen. If I keep going, I'm going to get there because I'm competitive with the best of the best right now. So then it was COVID happened, and then CrossFit every year CrossFit has changed how you get to the games.
Yeah.
So
I don't think they've ever had one year where it's consistent other than the Open.
Same. Yeah.
And even the Open's changed every year. Now it's 3 workouts. It used to be 5,
which was miserable.
The 5?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. And now this year they're getting rid of quarterfinals, right?
Yes.
So, and just going straight to semis, which shocks me because how do you whittle it down from Opens every athlete imaginable?
Yeah.
Yet they want to make the Open, attainable for anyone to do at any level. You can be 80 years old and do the Open. That's supposed to be the goal.
That's the goal.
To help with this community. But in order to get down to your elite athletes, I feel 3 workouts in an Open that's supposed to be for everyone. I'm curious to see what they do.
It's definitely not ideal, and within 3 workouts, it's hard to really get a accurate gauge of everyone. So if those 3 workouts, who knows what they're going to be? But if they favor one kind of athlete, those type of athletes are going to qualify ahead of all the people who are good at other things. But you're just not going to see those tests because there's only 3 workouts.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure I've read that it's 1% of the Open is going to semifinals.
Oh.
So it's tight. Which, if there's 200,000 people...
You have one bad workout, you're done.
Yeah, which sucks.
That really sucks because things happen. No one... Your elite level athletes in the past have always taken the Open as with they're going to make it. They don't necessarily have to push themselves.
The Open hasn't really mattered much.
Yeah.
It's just do it because you have to, and then you're going to qualify for the next stage.
Yeah.
And then the next stage matters a little bit more, and then the next stage matters even more.
Yeah, I think It'll be interesting to see what happens, but I think a lot of people are gonna get screwed and be upset. You're gonna have your
Yeah.
people who are happy they make it right
Yeah.
onto the next stage, and I think you're gonna have a lot of upset people. But let's kind of go from that. So like you get into your head, right, that it's like this is attainable.
Yeah.
I'm hitting the numbers that these elite level athletes are hitting in order to make it there. So what year would you say roughly that was?
That was probably like 2019-ish that I was like competitive in most workouts within the sport of CrossFit.
Yeah.
And then 2020 happens. And
Yeah.
everything is derailed. And then they throw in the like sanctional events where you have to like go somewhere to qualify.
Australia
and I
or
didn't want
whatever.
to deal with any of that. So then I just kind of kept training for another couple of years, and then they switched it back. And
Yeah.
then I made it to semifinals in 22, and then we go team 23, and we miss it by a hair. We tied for the qualifying spot, and then we lost the tie break.
Which do you? So I'm just curious. Like, so you've done the individual route, you've done the team route.
Yeah.
The individual, you made it really far. How far did you make it individual? Like
I was
what place?
11th at semifinals. at
What
the
did they
Granite
take
Games.
that year?
That was the year they hadn't switched it yet, and they only took 5.
Okay.
And then I think it was the next year that they took like the top 13 from the
Oh
the
God.
East. Yeah.
So you would have made it individual,
Yeah.
the next year. But obviously getting really, really close and really far. And then with the team, and we were talking about this right before, 2023, you guys lose on a tiebreaker
Yeah.
of missing the games.
That was
What was that like?
That sucked. Yeah. So, I mean, it felt like we stood there for an hour. So you do your last workout, and they keep everyone on the floor to get like the finals in, and they line you all up. And most likely because we were tied, and then they had to figure out who actually won. It felt like it took forever. It was probably like 10, 15 minutes, but we
Yeah.
were just standing there waiting. We had cameras on us, so we knew we were like right on the edge because they were standing by us, and then they made the call, and we missed it.
And the tiebreaker, I think that year, wasn't it the overall lift or whatever on like the
It was,
strength lift?
it was like the workout before, like who won that or who did better in it.
Yeah, which was a bunch of BS because I'm pretty sure
We beat them in like
4 out of 5
the rest
workouts
of
or
them,
something
yeah,
like
basically,
workouts.
yeah.
You missed on one, and that was the tiebreaker.
that
which-
was their best workout, and that was probably our worst workout because we just weren't a strength team.
and that is, I feel like, just CrossFit for
Yeah.
you with CrossFit
It is.
competitions.
It is what it is. Yeah, it sucked.
Did you after that? I'm big on mindset. Did
Mm-hmm.
you get like what was your mindset after? Did you get mopey? Did you give yourself like were you upset with in kind of debating, do I do this again? Do I do team again? This is frustrating. Or was that more motivation to, make it the next year?
I think it definitely was more. Like you look at a lot of elites, especially in CrossFit, almost all of the best athletes have taken second or some farther place down from first, and after that just went on to dominate. Matt Frazier, Tia, a lot of those athletes have gotten really, really close to winning and then just dominated after that. So getting that close, you can make it. Like there's no question anymore. It's just like, all right, I'm going to train my ass off for another year, and we're going to make it next year. And then we did that. We crushed it. I mean, it was like,
Well, you went from not making it to placing 5th in the world.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. Which
Yeah.
8th Days had a team there. That was the 3rd time, I believe, right?
I think at least the
21,
third, yeah.
22, missed 23, and then so
Yeah.
24. And by far the best finish. Every year was like a little bit better.
Yep. Every year we've moved up.
What did you like about individual versus team?
I think the main thing with individual is you are only relying on yourself. So like if I disappoint anyone, it's going to be just me. Like I'm not. If I get injured, it's just on me. I don't have to like worry about disappointing the team. It's just like I'm only focused on myself, and if something goes wrong, it's just me that gets hurt from it. But with a team, it's like you've got to perform, you've got to stay healthy, you've got 3 other people relying on you, but it's also way more fun.
Yeah.
So the individual is more pressure. You're out on your own. Like,
Do you have more fun with the team?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Training's better. Competing's way better. The individual, it's just there's more glory in it if you're going to be like the best of the best. But the team
Probably
is
a much lonelier road,
oh,
though,
it's so
too.
much worse. Yeah, way more lonely.
Versus being able to have like that group to train with and push each other.
Yeah.
You're kind of just like, yeah, doing your own thing. Because if you're at that level too, what type of time commitment is it for you to make that level? How often are you training?
For the like individual or for team, like
We'll say
just to
both.
make the games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot. You have to. There's less and less athletes who are doing anything else but training in the sport of CrossFit. So, I mean, our whole team has full-time jobs. So we train when we can. It's usually, ideally, it's 2 sessions a day where you're going to spend an hour and a half to 3 hours each session doing whatever you need to do to get done with that workout. A lot of the times, like leading up to the games, most of my sessions are just one. It's just 2 to 3 hours of one long session, and then I'm done for the day because that's just how my schedule has worked. It's hard to find 2 different blocks of time to train.
Right.
So usually it's in the afternoon. I have some dead time, get everything done, and then I do more work after that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the part about like staying healthy and that kind of thing. Did you have how is it difficult to stay healthy when you're training that much? What was that like this past year?
Yeah, I mean, you're beating yourself up every day. Like, sure, you take a rest day or 2 every week, but the volume you're doing and what you're doing, you're tearing yourself apart constantly. So your sleep has to be on point, your nutrition has to be on point, your hydration. So all those things have to line up. But then, I mean, obviously I'm getting older, so stuff happens even when you're younger. Like anything could happen at any point. A ligament goes out, or you twist something, or you're up. I mean, everyone on the team was dealing with something last year. Just aches and pains. Your hip feels a little weird. Your knee feels a little weird. And you just keep moving.
I really say, like, so pain is really a part of the human experience. So whether you're training for the CrossFit Games, you're training just to stay healthy, or you're not doing anything, you're just sitting on your butt and being sedentary, like, you're going to have aches and pains. Obviously, I promote a healthy lifestyle and moving is going to pay much bigger dividends in the long run. But I think you hit on the key things as far as sleep and nutrition. You can't skip those steps.
No. Yeah, it's pivotal. Like, that's the biggest.
What was if you don't mind sharing, like, what was kind of the worst injury you've dealt with over the last year, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the worst one is the one that you guys have been helping with Alex the most. So leading up to the games, it was maybe like 2 or 3 weeks before, my shoulder started to feel a little bit weird. And during any like pressing movement, I would have pain in my shoulder, and then it would kind of subside as I got warmed up. And then the closer we got to the games, it was not subsiding anymore. It was just there the whole time. And then it's like, well, there's nothing I can do at this point. I'm just going to go to the games and compete. And it was fine. Like, everything, it worked out. There was the only time I really noticed it was the handstand push-up workout that we had. There was a lot of volume with the handstands. Other than that, I came back from the games. I rested for like a full week. We didn't do anything. And then I took it light for a couple weeks, and it still just would not go away. So I was like, okay, I actually have to deal with this. This is not something that's just going to like go away. So then I spent the last like 10 weeks-ish just focusing on stability stuff and doing different exercises to strengthen the joint again, and then it finally started subsiding.
Is it 100% now?
I think so. Yeah, I haven't really noticed it. Yeah, it feels good. I've been overhead really heavy again.
You hit some PRs too recently, didn't you? What was that?
Yeah, those were front squats and power cleans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would it bother you with power cleans at all, or not really?
Which was weird. Yeah, so it was really only
Anything
pressing.
overhead.
So it was like right here, and then I would feel sharp pain in the shoulder, and then it just had to get through that, basically. So it was never like stopping me from doing something, but it was always like, ow, every single rep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important. What I tell people when it comes to those things, like if you give it, especially like a week of rest, and it doesn't get any better, and especially after like 2 weeks, then there's something
not better at all.
Something you need to do further to get it, whether it's professionally looked at or taken care of. but then you can't skip out on the other things. Like your body repairs itself during sleep. Sleep is, I mean, so important.
Yeah.
And I need to constantly check myself and
Yeah.
I feel like do a better job
Yeah.
of that. How much sleep would you say you get?
I for sure try to get 8 hours most nights.
Of actual sleep
of
or like
actual-
in your beds?
I mean, I'm asleep in my bed for probably more like 9.
Okay.
But I'm trying to get at least 8 hours, if not 9, of sleep every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you stick to a pretty rigid schedule of like going to bed?
Yeah,
and
it just
waking
makes
up?
it way easier. If you're all over the place, some nights I go to bed at 10, some nights I go to bed at 12, and I wake up at 6, I wake up at 8. It just messes with you. So trying to be as consistent every single day as you can. I mean, obviously I'll sleep in like another hour on the weekends or something, but bedtime is pretty much the same every night. I'm
Nice.
usually like in bed by 11 and then out.
Yeah, nice. I think that's key. So what's your plan for this coming year? Are you thinking another run at the games?
Yeah,
What do you got planned?
2025, our team is similar with one difference. So Michael is out. He has a new family member and just needs to kind of focus on his own life for this next year. So we have another teammate, Jordan, coming in to take his place from out of state. So we'll have our Danielle and Jordan coming in to compete with us for the Open and train with us before semifinals. And then ideally, hopefully, we make the games, and then they'll be up here training with us as much as possible for
Nice.
the 2025 games.
We were talking a little bit about that before, but how does the team work? How do you have to qualify? Because this, like you said, every year is different, right? How do you make it as a team this year? Do you know the
Yeah.
breakdown?
So I mean, they made it simpler, but they also made it tougher. So they're taking away 10 spots. So there's only 20 teams that get to go to the games this year instead of 30. You do the Open as individuals. Your individual scores qualify you for the team semifinal, which is like a month after the Open, so it's quick. So it's going to be a weird season. So we're either going to be done at that point in like April, or we're going to be training that whole time for the games, and we're not going to have a semifinal to go to.
This is a semifinal. So you make it from the Open to semifinal.
To online semifinal.
What percentage are they taking?
I think 1%. I think it's
1% of teams.
I think.
And then, so you got to place in the top 1%. And then,
The top 20.
do you know roughly how many teams that is? That would be?
I'm not sure. It's not going to be a lot. It's going to be like maybe a couple hundred at the most.
Okay.
And then it's going to be top 20.
And then top 20 from there.
Yeah.
Does it matter where you're at in the world? Because before it's like North America gets so many teams, right? South America.
That's a good
Asia.
question. Honestly, I think they're just going to do top 20, regardless. So, I mean, we could have...
Could work out in your
It could.
favor.
Yeah, I mean,
could
we
be
could.
also like, you never know, right? You
Yeah.
place top 5, but it's like you have, I mean, I think they place top 10 in 22, 23 comes around, and
Yeah.
you get screwed by.
So, I mean, it's going to be weird. With CrossFit, that's kind of always been a weird thing where you're trying to get the fittest on earth to compete at the games. But you're not always getting all the fittest because you're taking people from other countries who would get destroyed by the teams that didn't make it from here.
Yeah.
So we might see, if that's how they're going to do it, we might see a
Like
very
19
weird
North
field.
American teams?
Yeah, we might see a very weird field at the games of
Interesting.
athletes that get to qualify.
What would you say? What are your strengths? Would you say when it comes to CrossFit, and what are your weaknesses? And are you trying to focus more overall? Do you try to hone in on weaknesses? What do you try to do?
Yeah, so it's always, I mean, you're always working on weaknesses, or you should. If you want to get to the games, you want to try to be the best you can be, you should know what your weaknesses are, and you should be focusing on those. But I'm primarily a strength athlete, so all the heavy lifts is going to be better events for me. Odd object, heavy stuff is going to be better for me. I'm really good on machines because I'm strong and heavier, so I can bust through a lot of calories on machines really easily. And then you bring in body weight stuff, and that's where I'll suffer a little bit. So you bring in burpees, you bring in high volume gymnastics on the high bars or the rings. All that type of stuff is going to be...
You'd say you suffer with burpees? Like burpees are not typically a good workout for you?
I will be slower than the lighter, quicker athletes. Like
Gotcha.
I can grind through a bunch of burpees, but
I was
I'm
gonna say, I
just
feel
not
like
going to
burpees
be.
wouldn't be. I don't. I would say you're overall a very good like overall athlete. Like you said, you're definitely strong. You've got the strength aspect. You don't seem to have too much trouble like stringing together muscle ups and
Yeah, and
handstand
it's like
push-ups and
all
all those
depends on the
things.
workout. Like if the reps are low enough, I'm fine. But if they like bring in, all right, you got to do a set of 30 ring muscle ups before
Yeah.
you do this next thing. Oh, well, that's gonna suck. But if
Yeah.
it's only tens, then yeah, I can hit 10.
Yeah.
But it's the higher volume gymnastic stuff that just crushes me.
Yeah, and it's funny once you get to that level, those little tiny differences of like most people, 10 ring muscle ups, they're like,
That's a lot.
most people, that's a lot. They
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah.
But if you want to get to that level, you need to be able to hit 10.
Yeah.
And you should be able to hit 10 without too much of an issue. And if you're
Yeah.
getting above that, then that's another thing.
Yep.
What would be your recommendation for anyone that's trying to get better, hit those levels?
So I mean, you have to assess like how bad do you want this? I mean, if you're trying to get to the games, if you're trying to make it to that stage, like you have to kind of be willing to sacrifice some stuff. The time constraints it's a lot. You have to train a ton. You have to work on your weaknesses. You have to be willing to dial in your nutrition. You have to be willing to get good sleep. Like you can't be messing with those things to get to the games at this point. It's like there's no freebies. Like you have to have everything, your ducks in a row to make it there.
Do you think most people eat too little, eat too much? Where do you think most people go wrong when it comes to nutrition?
I would assume everyone's going to be different on that. A lot of the times it's too little, like especially if you're trying to train as much as you need to be. You're probably under eating, mostly carbs. People are obsessed with getting their protein, which is good. You need that, but like to train as hard as you do for CrossFit, you need a bunch of carbs.
Do you track your like macros and
I
calories?
did for a long time, so now I have a pretty good sense of like
Where you're at.
where I'm at, and I mean I've done it so long that now it's like I just know by feel and hunger. Like
Yeah.
I'm pretty much, if I'm like hungry, I'll just go eat something. Like
Yeah.
I don't stay hungry very much.
How much would you say that you eat in a day?
So the different times I've tracked it, like throughout the season, I'll track it for a day or two just to make sure I'm not like messing up, and it's usually between 4,000 and 5,000.
That is quite a bit.
Yeah.
I would guess I'm around 3.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. I want to say I was trying to do a bulk a couple of years ago, and I needed to do like 3,500, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is full.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, like, especially games training when your volume's just insane, there's definitely times where you're eating and you're, like, not excited about eating at all. Like, you're just eating because you have to eat, and it's just forcing it in.
What's your favorite thing to eat?
I mean, everyone loves cheat meals.
Yeah.
So if I was going to, like, pick something to eat, it's usually breakfast food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not like a pizza or burgers or anything like that.
Those are great. I mean, I love burgers, especially after, like, a competition. Getting a big burger and fries is amazing.
Yeah.
But my go-to stuff is breakfast stuff.
So it's sweet or savory breakfast?
Both.
Okay.
So ideally, like if I was going to go out to eat, I would get like a thing of either French toast or pancakes on the side, and then I would get like a skillet or something like
Nice.
that. So I'd have both.
What's your favorite breakfast spot in Grand Rapids?
Oh, that's tough. Probably Wolfgang's.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
up there for me. I would. Wolfgang's used to be my favorite. Probably still is my favorite. Lucy's. Have you been to
Lucy's. I've been there once.
Lucy's
It was very
is
good.
really
Yeah.
good. Wolfgang's though, yeah. If you're trying to get like a lot of volume in food, in,
Yeah.
man, those pancakes are like
They're thick.
an inch probably thick, and they're the size of a plate. They're
Yeah.
huge. I love Wolfgang's. What else? Little bit of some like rapid fire questions too. What's your favorite workout to do?
I don't think I can just pick one out of the ether.
DT.
Honestly, DT sucks.
DT is terrible.
Yeah,
I
DT
figured
sucks.
You'd be great at DT.
I am amazing. I've done really, really well at DT, but it's terrible because you have to hang on.
Yeah.
Like it's just.
Would you say is it worse for you for your like forearms, or where do you feel the most?
Your forearms usually first, and
Yeah.
then it's just like total body fatigue by the time you're done. And
Yeah.
You're just dying. But workouts that workouts that involve some type of machine generally.
Okay.
So whether it doesn't even really matter whether it's the rower, the bike, or the ski erg. If that's in there, some heavy lifting is in there, and then you throw in like lower volume gymnastics, like that type of stuff is something I would crush. Yeah. Usually longer workouts, like chipper, like longer type is usually where I do better.
20-minute, 15.
Yeah, 15 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DT or Fran? What would you rather do?
Fran's over faster, but they both suck.
You can suffer. I feel like Fran, though, I don't know what you'd suffer with more, like post-workout. Because Fran lung, you're like dying.
I think Fran hurts more.
I think you're like dying because you can't breathe.
Yeah.
DT, you're sore, right? You're sore, your forearms are sore, your whole body's sore.
DT is like a little bit slower, but you're moving longer. Like it's a more consistent pace, so it doesn't hurt the same way Fran does, where it's just like a sprint.
Yeah.
You just go.
Fran, you're just like hacking up a lung, like literally. I would say I like the longer workouts. I'm definitely more, if it's endurance and body weight, I'm going to do a lot better than like the heavy lifts. So I prefer anything like that. If you tell me to grind for 30 minutes, I'm going to do way better than like a short sprinty workout for sure. So for sure doing the team, that's super exciting. You do work with some people.
Yep.
How, if someone wants to work with you and get advice, do you do one-on-one coaching? What kind of coaching do you do?
So I do a mixture, online coaching, online programming. So it doesn't even really matter what it is. It's just based on whatever your goals are. So if you wanted to do bodybuilding, if you wanted to do CrossFit, if you wanted to do powerlifting, if you wanted to do Olympic lifting, I build a program for you every week, send it out. So you get a whole week, and then on Sunday, I'll send out another email. And then I do one-on-ones as well. I have a mixture between consistent every week clients and people who just want a session or two. They come in, work with
some things.
A lot of people from the gym, like they want to work with me for an hour and try to dial in some technique stuff, whether it's ring muscle up stuff or barbell stuff, just get a little bit better at a skill they've been wanting some help with.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's super important I think no matter what level you're at, you can always get an outsider's perspective to help break it down.
For sure. And
if you're taking it seriously, I think everyone, no matter what arena you're in, can benefit from a coach. So, I mean, me personally, like I'm always looking to guidance from whether it's other physical therapists and looking to them for a mentor if I have a question on things, business coaches, and then even coaches in like the fitness realm. Like I'm go to class and I'll ask questions because I'm getting that third party perspective. And people can identify things, even though I know a lot.
Yeah.
There's always things that someone else is maybe going to pick up or give me a different cue, which is super important. So if you're looking for a coach or someone to work with, Dylan's been there. He's been around lifting for a very long time. He's been around fitness, whole life pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I got pretty much from 18 on is when I was more serious with fitness. Before that, it was like fun and it was unstructured. But now from there on, it's been like pretty consistent, pretty structured of increasing my fitness.
Yeah. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
I'd say the two best ways are just going to be either reach out through Instagram or...
What's your Instagram
handle? It's just Dylan Hamming.
Okay.
Yep. And then, or you can email me at my Gmail, dylanhammingtraining@gmail.com.
Cool.
Yeah.
I will be sure to post a link to your contact information in the description. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, it'll be right in there.
Perfect.
And so people can get a hold of you. So if you're interested, take a look there to get a hold of Dylan. I really appreciate you taking the time for this.
Problem.
This is always fun for me.
I think this is my second podcast ever. So
nice. Yeah, I think you crushed it. I'm hoping we got a new audio setup, so I'm hoping
hopefully the audio's good.
Issues there. Yeah. We should be good. But yeah, best of luck for this coming season.
Appreciate it.
I think you guys are going to crush it and do really well. As long as you can stay healthy.
It's going to be a weird year.
It's always been a pleasure to help you guys stay healthy too.
You guys, the Fuel team has been extremely helpful for everyone.
Sweet. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
That means a lot. So awesome. If you are watching, if you don't mind liking, sharing this, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you later.